This is lesson 13-2, using unit rates. Our essential question, how can you use a unit rate to solve a proportion? And this picture shows an example of using a unit rate to solve a proportion. No vocab for this lesson. Alright, example number 1, find the unit rate. And we did this in our last topic, so this should just be review. Now, 99% of the time, you are trying to get a 1 on the bottom. Because remember, when you have a unit rate, you have to always compare to 1. And usually that 1 is on the bottom. So, we need to go from 5 days to 1 day. Now, I got to think to myself, how do I get from 5 to 1? And I do that by dividing by 5, because 5 divided by 5 is 1. So I do the same thing to 320 miles. I divide that by 5. And let's divide to see what that is. 320 divided by 5. 5 can't go into 3, so we put a 0. 5 goes into 32 6 times, which is 30. So there's 2 left over. Bring down the 0. 5 goes into 20 4 times evenly. So they can travel 64 miles in 1 day. And that is the unit rate. Unit rate always compares to 1. Example number 2. A construction crew spreads 2 tons of gravel in 90 minutes. How long does it take them to spread 1 ton? So we're going to have to set up a proportion here. So we just use the numbers that we have. So they can spread 2 tons of gravel. Now remember, when you do ratios, whatever comes first in the sentence, that's what you put first. So we have 2 tons first, and they can do that in 90 minutes. So we have 2 tons over 90 minutes. And then it says, how long does it take them to spread 1 ton? So I know that I need to get to 1 ton. Now 1 ton has to be on the top because my units have to match up. I have tons on the top here, so I have to have ton on the top on the other side. You always want them to match up. Whatever's on the top, you want the unit to be the same thing. You don't want to have something that says inches and then on the other side you have something that says feet, because those are different. You want to have the same thing. Alright, so we have 2 tons to 1 ton. So to go from 2 to 1, we divide by 2. So we do the same thing on the bottom. Divide by 2. And let's go ahead and do that. 90 divided by 2. 2 goes into 9 4 times, which is 8. With 1 left over. Bring down the 0. And 2 goes into 10 5 times evenly. So they can spread 1 ton in 45 minutes. Example number 3. We're going to do the same thing we just did in example 2. So 20 large Snickers bars are equivalent to 45 mini Snickers bars. So we have 20 large to 45 mini. And I'm just taking the numbers that I just read in the problem. How many mini Snickers bars are equivalent to 100 large? So you can see I have the large on top, so I have to put large on top again over here. And they have 100. So now I have to figure out, how do I get from 20 to 100? And I do that by multiplying by 5. So I do the same thing on the bottom. 45 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. And 5 times 4 is 20, plus the 2 is 22. So 225 mini is our answer. Example number 4, use the unit rate to solve the proportion. So when they say use the unit rate, we already have the unit rate right here, because we're comparing to 1. When you compare to 1, that's the unit rate. So 3/10 to 1 flashlight. So we're just going to go ahead and solve this. So I'm trying to figure out how many tenths. So I have to look at my bottom numbers, because those are the two numbers that I have. I have 1 flashlight to 3 flashlights. And to get from 1 to 3, I have to multiply by 3. We're always going to be multiplying or dividing. So I have to do the same thing at the top. 3 times 3 is 9/10. So x equals 9. Okay, here are your 3 practice problems. Don't forget a word problem or a question, and rate your understanding.